This is my first take in going through my CLI gem. Let's take a look. Okay, so the user, here we go. So let's start with maybe the API. The API is pretty important. It's how the user is going to be able to get all the information about the Game of Thrones book series. My first method for the API class is to collect all books. Using this base endpoint, it will be able to map over the base endpoint, and it will be able to collect all these attributes in a book hash pointing to their values. And it will also be able to take in that hash and then create new instances of the book class. And on top of that, it will also be able to add the characters based on the URLs to the book class by shoveling them in. This method here, self-create characters, that will be used up here as well. It's a several step process to create the characters based on the URLs. It was quite difficult, actually. These were the first iterations of it. The last API method is called getMoreInfo. Kind of basic. It's just going to return the book's ISBN, the authors, page numbers, and the publisher. Kind of a boring one. For the book class, as the user uses the API, all that information will be stored in the book class. So now the instances of the book, of the 12 books that will be returned, will have a ton of information from the title, the author, the page numbers, character URLs, and then the characters themselves. The URLs have to be stored because that's the only way to access the characters. So each book class will have an array of characters, quite a bit, and you'll be able to access all those characters. It might be kind of slow because there's so many characters in the Game of Thrones book series. And finally, just like a simple one, just print the book's characters. And we're able to access that because the book has characters. Finally, the character class. The characters are initialized with a ton of information. So again, as the API, this API method, this first one, it really just creates books and characters. So it kind of sets everything off, really. We'll look back at character. Character gets initialized with a URL, which it needs to. The name, gender, the culture, a whole bunch of stuff, allegiances, who they're played by. And that was it. That was all I had for characters. CLI is kind of basic. It simply just lists out the books, the number in the series, based on the URL, followed by the title, which I also got from the URL. It's kind of fancy to have to set that up. Originally, I was going to have like if they put one, they get more information about that book. But if you look in the book, there's really no need for that because the book itself has so many attributes. It has title, author, page number. So simply by calling book.title or book.isbn, the user would be able to get all the information about the instance of this class. So the CLI itself is kind of spare because I'm not sure really. Once the user collects all the books with that one command, a lot of things get created. It might be a little slow because of that, but there you have it. Again, so in each class, you'd be able to call and find out a character's gender or name, or a character's allegiances. That's kind of cool. So yeah, I am proud that I was able to set this up because I found it incredibly hard to properly iterate through the API requests. I've never actually done anything like that. And I don't think it was required for the project, but this is the API that I ended up choosing, and I didn't realize it would involve that kind of advanced or elegant kind of iterations. And that is all for now.